And it's Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Mental health is real. Seek help and the stigma. On the news this afternoon. Protest continues in Port Harcourt over Governor Fubara's suspension. Stakeholders react to criticisms of Tinubu administration. Edo State Governor Okpebholo suspends traditional ruler over kidnapping killings. On the foreign scene, Vatican announces stayed for funeral of late Pope Francis. I'm Ifechukwu Moanyele with the news. Now we begin the news this afternoon with a report of another protest against the suspension of the River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The protest began this morning from Agri Road, Old Port Harcourt Township to Aba Road, Port Harcourt. The protesters who wore black attire comprised women and youth. It is the latest in a series of anti- and pro-protests that have rocked the state since March 18, when President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency and appointed a sole administrator to oversee the affairs of the state. Moving on now, there's been a mix of reactions from civil society leaders and academics over Pastor Tunde Bakare's recent criticisms of the President Bola Tinubu administration. Now, in his Easter sermon, Bakare criticized President Bola Tinubu's leadership style and accused him of turning the 10th National Assembly into an extension of the presidency. Reacting to this, Program Director of Clean Foundation, Saludeen Hashim, said he agreed with Bakare. He told correspondent Obiorware the lawmakers in the current National Assembly don't seem interested in representing the people.
And then, of course, what Bakare had said is not too far from the character and nature of the legislative in recent time. We have seen a parliament that has been dedicated into an agenda that does not in any way bring value to citizens. We have seen a system and a parliament that, of course, really that this is actually not the intention of the parliamentary stating it is unpatriotic we live in a nation. This is not
how the executive as his national assembly does not always need to be in conflict with the executive arm of government.
Just take it that it's a media-hogging statement for a man who has been very relevant for some time. The conversation is about checks and balances. The concept of checks and balances is not adversarial. It is one in which there is a principled engagement with the different arms of government in a cooperative manner. So it's not an abstract, checks and balances is not an abstract thing. So when you want to appraise them, you appraise them on the basis of these three principles and not on the basis of what you conceive.
Wago questioned why opposition parties like the PDP and Labour Party have not spoken up in the process if the process is so flawed, especially regarding the approval of the state of emergency in River State.
We are talking about state of emergency. If you look at all the sections of the law that people are quoting, it is open to different interpretations. Can you show me anywhere where the PDP members, opposition members, addressed a press conference that they were not part of the decision of the National Assembly? Myself, you, a civil society person, and Tunde Bakare is a member of civil society. The people who have responsibility to say the processes were not properly done in the National Assembly did not make any such call. Are you telling me that there is no opposition in the National Assembly?
Also, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Bode George, has criticized party presidential candidate in the last election, Atiku Abubakar, for his recent visit to former President Muhammadu Buhari to woo him to his coalition campaign. George said this during an interview on Arise TV. He said the decision of the former vice president to ignore his party members to discuss his coalition agenda with Buhari, who is a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, is disappointing. Mr. George also dismissed the coalition agenda, describing it as a ploy to weaken the PDP. And now, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, has criticized those seeking former President Buhari's favor, including allies of President Tinubu and former CPC members, calling them misguided. In an interview, Lawal accused the Tinubu administration of abandoning the CPC's pro-poor ideology. He warned that genuine CPC loyalists who are committed to serving the poor will oppose any government that inflicts suffering. Coming up next, Edo State Governor Okpebholo suspends traditional ruler over kidnapping, killings. Stay with us. The Lagos State Police Command says it is not aware of the advice of the Department of Public Prosecution that recommended the non-prosecution of Quadri Alabi, who went viral during campaigns for the 2023 general election when he stood in front of the convoy of a former Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi. The Commissioner of Police, Jimo Moshood, disclosed this today. Now, on the reported release of the boy by the court, the police commissioner said the police were not invited when the decision was taken, adding that the trial had not begun. Elsewhere, the Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOS, has refuted reports of an alleged bomb explosion at the Medium Security Custodial Center in Maiduguri, describing the claim as false and misleading. In a statement signed by the service's Public Relations Officer, Deputy Controller of Corrections, Umar Abubakar, the NCOS clarified that there was no security breach at the facility or any other custodial center across the country. It said the situation at the custodial center remains calm and stable, and inmates are continuing their rehabilitation programs without disruption. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has suspended the traditional ruler of Owano Kingdom in Agenebode, Estako East Local Government Area, Dr. George Egabo, over incessant killing and kidnapping in his domain. Now, in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Fred Itua, the governor said the suspension of the traditional ruler is with immediate effect and indefinite. The statement said the secretary to the traditional ruler, Chief Peter Omiobemi, has since been arrested following a recent incident that led to the death of a palace chief, the late John Ekamate. Away from that, President Bola Tinubu is planning to meet with the service chiefs to discuss the rising killings in Plateau, Benue, and other parts of the country. It follows his return to Abuja from his 2-week working visit to Paris and London. The president was received by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the National Security Advisor, his Chief of Staff, and the FCT Minister at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Report says the UK received 22,619 asylum applications from Nigerian nationals between 2010 and 2024, making Nigerians one of the top nationalities for asylum claims, ranking 11th overall. In 2024, Nigerian asylum applications nearly doubled from 2023 with 2,841 claims. Overall, 2024 marked the highest number of asylum applications to the UK with 108,138 submissions. That is a 378% increase since 2010. And now in business, the National Vice President of the Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, Ahmed Fashola, says petroleum marketers were losing money due to the reduction in price of petrol. In entertainment, singer Tubaba has formally introduced his fiancée, Natasha Osawaru, to the Idoma traditional leadership and his hometown community. In sports, Arsenal have opened talks to sign Sporting CP and Sweden striker 26-year-old Victor Gyökeres early in the summer transfer window.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
The Vatican has confirmed that Pope Francis's funeral will take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. local time. The Vatican has also released images of the Pope in an open coffin, dressed in a red robe with the papal mitre on his head and a rosary in his hands. He will be taken to St. Peter's Basilica on Wednesday morning, where his casket will remain until burial for the public to pay their respect. U.S. President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and French President Emmanuel Macron are among those planning to attend the funeral.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Protest has continued in Port Harcourt over Governor Fubara's suspension. Stakeholders have reacted to the criticisms of the Tinubu administration. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has suspended a traditional ruler over kidnapping and killings in his domain. On the foreign scene, you heard the Vatican said the funeral of late Pope Francis will be held on Saturday. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I'm Ifechukwu Moyeli. Many thanks for listening.